Next, I'd like to move on to our next evaluator, which is Deanne. And Deanne will be evaluating Ranjita's speech, which is, I know you sent it in the chat. What is her speech? Life choices.
Okay, so today I have the honor of evaluating Ranjita's speech, and she is in the presentation mastery pathway. And this is an elective project, and it is to connect with storytelling. And so, in addition to the typical things that we look for, in evaluations about this clarity, the vocal variety, eye contact, again, challenging with the camera thing. But also kind of I'll look at the gallery view and see the audience awareness and see if people are engaging or, checking on their phone or whatever. Hopefully not. And, just generals and the gestures and general interest, et cetera, and the organization. And in addition, I'll look at some things that she excelled at and maybe some things that I could challenge her to improve on. But the purpose of this is to practice storytelling and giving a speech, basically that is surrounding a story. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Okay, thank you. So next I'd like to introduce Ranjita. She's been with us for a few months now and we've enjoyed her speeches, and I know she's been working hard on this one, and so I can't wait to hear it. So let's hear it for Ranjita.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. It was in that split second that I saw my life flash by. I was speeding downhill on the steep cliff on a bicycle. My brother's hand-me-down bicycle. It had no gears, and there was this steep road, and there was no barrier to the right. From the corner of my eye, I could see the sheer drop into the Brahmaputra River. And in front of me, I saw the road turn right. And I knew my right turn was weak. And I had to make a split decision. Should I take a right turn and risk falling down the cliff and dying? Or should I force a stop right in front of me and prevent that? Deep down, I knew I could not take a right turn and I would surely die. I could see my mother crying and my life flash by. I could not think of what my other choice was, except that right in front of me, there was another hill starting at the bottom. And if I could just let myself hit that hill, I could stop myself. And in my mind, I was doing physics of how far up I'd go on that hill as a result of that impact. I woke up and saw that I was still alive, except I was tangled on this barbed wire that was preventing the cows from the neighboring hill from entering the road. Other than a few cuts and scratches on my face, I was relatively unharmed. I was about 15 years old at that time when this happened. I'm sure all of you have gone through experiences in your life where you've had to make a decision that changed your life. I have made many decisions or been faced with decisions in my life, although none as harrowing and something that required a split-second decision as that incident. But I have made lots of decisions that have shaped my life. When I was trying to figure out what college to go to, I was very interested in studying psychology. I wanted to be a doctor of psychology. I had watched Spellbound. I don't know if any of you have. It's an old thriller where Ingrid Bergman is the doctor of psychology. And I was super excited about it. But I ended up studying textile science. I decided to come to the States for higher studies. And I ended up staying in the US. After graduating, I worked in New York on the East Coast for a while, and then I decided I wanted to do my MBA instead, and I came to California, and I met my husband, and I finally set down roots here. In life, the decisions you make impact you, but it could also impact the people around you. So you have to be very careful about those decisions. It impacts your loved ones. When my son was in elementary school, he was doing pretty well, but I sensed that he was not entirely happy. He had friends, but he didn't seem connected. So when it came to middle school choice, I decided maybe we should put him in a different school, maybe a private school where he's surrounded by nurturing teachers and he can actually connect with friends. He just didn't seem to have anything common with the friends in his elementary school. We found this really good middle school, a small school that he really connected with at Stratford Middle School. And there was this pimply-faced president of the student body that took us around when we were doing the open house, and the teachers were really engaged with my son, and he really connected. So he went there. And in those 2 years that he was there, the 7th and 8th grade, he blossomed from this really quiet kid to this really gregarious, smart, confident kid, and he made lifelong friends. I'm really glad that I saw what was going on in him, even though he never talked about being alone or lonely, and made a decision that helped him. When I think about today, when I look back on the day when I made that really foolish decision to climb up the hill, but also made that decision not to take the right turn, I'm really glad I did that. You know, if you watched Back to the Future, you can relive your past, and we know we cannot do that. But I'm glad I have no regrets, because if I had not made that decision to not take the right turn, I would probably not be here today talking to you guys. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Okay, we're going to move on with our meeting, and the next thing that we're going to do is Robin, Ranjita. So we're going to ask the timer and give a report on your timing due.
I think my evaluation by Deanne.
Oh, I am so sorry. Yeah, very sorry. Okay. We're doing two. We had the pleasure of hearing two speeches today, second of which was Ranjita's, and Deanne has volunteered to provide an evaluation of Ranjita's speech. So let's welcome Deanne.
Thank you again. Ranjita, your opening really gripped me. The first words, and then I became so enveloped in the story. So that's really important, to get your audience totally involved. And I was just full on in the story. What I found was interesting, you were probably 2 minutes in, I wasn't timing, that when you said that you were 15 years old, and that kind of surprised me. I really had no idea I thought maybe it's right now, right? Last weekend, I don't know. And not that it mattered so much, but it was interesting. And it just, took me back to a different place. Really, I felt you excelled at the message and tying it through all the other stories. And then at the very end, of course, you tied it all back in to the title. One of the things that I would challenge you or encourage you to do is to maybe use that title more than once. You insinuated it, you alluded to it, but I would, maybe make more of an impact on it. The message made the great impact, but to tie it back into that title a little bit more. But it was great impact. It was in all the stories, how they related to that first one, definitely not a non sequitur type of thing. It was definitely tied in and related. One other thing that I'd challenge you on is to maybe show a little bit more vulnerability in the very beginning when you were talking about, in the opening, when you said, I knew my right turn was weak. I knew I couldn't do it. And then you started going through all the laws of physics in your head, which it's amazing how fast our brains can do that, right? In split seconds, it's incredible. But just show a little bit more vulnerability, or maybe even when you're talking about your son going to middle school, because that's one of the most tremendously impactful times in our life that we're really forming of who we are and our self-esteem. And that's a good opportunity to bring in a little bit of vulnerability and tie us in. One of the things, man, you had great uses of pauses. There was a couple of times you seemed to think like, I'm not sure where I'm going, can't remember, but you didn't use the filler words, you paused. So that was great. And you're definitely, you're getting to be a master at that one. All right, back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.